Hi, welcome to today's service. I'm doing my presentation introducing my book, but this is a somber Sunday because our leader, Rebecca, just passed away. And so the second part of the service is going to be a remembrance for Rebecca. Um, I've lived a pretty long life, actually, and I've met some impressive people, and I was so fortunate that I got to meet Rebecca, one of the most remarkable people. She was as remarkable as my mother was, and my mother was one heck of a remarkable person. Anyway, so I'll have some words to say during the service about Rebecca, but today I'm introducing my book. And I was going to start off by showing my health vlog. And I know it's hard to believe I have a health vlog. Yeah. But anyway, my health vlog really started when I turned 70. And I started it then. And my motivation was, and the name of the health vlog is, now that you're 70, you might as well get to 100. So I'm just going to publish some hints. You can play it. So this is my health vlog at Doonghetty Beach, and this is the April 2026. We don't need the sound. The best spot in Doonghetty if you're having any sort of medical. So what I'm pointing out here is I go there when my back is hurting because that wall really gets warm. So I just lay back on that warm rock and it just heats my back up. I've also had bronchitis, so my feet can be in where the waves are splashing. So I'm there just breathing the saltwater air because that's really making a big difference in my bronchitis. I do what it's called the Thich Nhat Hanh meditation walk, and I walk along the beach, and it's a nice clay beach, and the clay is actually cooler than the usual sand beach, and you can just feel the clay coming up around your feet, and when the clay comes up around your feet, it's cleaning you. Clay is one of the most cleaning elements there are. So if you picture you're traveling around on city streets, you're breathing in all this polluted air, particles of tires. You get down right beside the ocean, right where the waves are broken. You have the freshest air you're going to breathe in Doonghetty. And if you're having any sort of health problem, it's a good place to be. I also get in the water for long periods of time because the water, you are salt water, the ocean is salt water, and you have a lot of toxins that you've built up. And the ocean will suck those out. I know you think the ocean is dirty and it's not as clean as it used to be, but it's still very healthy for me to soak in the ocean here for many hours. And everybody knows I say I don't drink water. And I don't need to drink water because if you take somebody that's dehydrated and put him in the ocean, your skin will absorb the free water in the ocean. Anyway, that's the beginning of my health vlog.
Dr. Ray, what year is that?
I just did it.
What year?
Now. I filmed this a couple weeks ago.
Oh, good.
It's right here at the...
So this is just a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, I started the health vlog 30 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I started it when I was 70. Well, that wasn't 30 years ago. It was only 10 years ago. But yeah, this is just the addition to my latest edition of my health vlog. Anyway, we'll go on to the... All right, this is my book. My first science book, The History of the First Science Theory. And it's grade 0 to 6 and grade 6 to 9. And I have an interesting name. I didn't know it, but I actually have a mystic's name. Ray McKnight actually means small, light, small, dark night. It's like Florence Nightingale. She had a mystic name. And Actually, Harriet Tubman actually had a mystic name. Their name almost reflects who they are. Let's go on to the next slide. Okay, this is the grade 0 book. And the point of the grade 0 book is this is what you should know, have learned from your parents before you even start grade 1. And in grade 2, you learn where you live. Your parents teach you where you live. Well, they can go a bit further and talk about the fact that you live on a planet in a solar system. And the solar system is part of a galaxy called the Milky Way galaxy. And the Milky Way galaxy is part of the cosmos. So it's basic science that, even in grade 1, you can learn. More importantly, in grade 1, I introduced the word psyche. And psyche is, what are you? In grade 1, what are you? You're the information in your head. Plus, you're your will. It's what you do with that information. And that's going to determine what happens to you in your life. The next one's grade 6, I hope. Okay, now this is the Milky Way galaxy. And below it is an even more in picture. This was in Scientific American in 2016. This is the most important picture published in 21st century science. And it's actually a picture of our cluster. This is where the Milky Way galaxy is as part of the cosmos. And you can see a line there. And basically, our Milky Way galaxy is a little dot in this picture. But what this shows is what is called the vortex flow. Because if you look at the cosmos, it's just filled with galaxies. So what is the dominant force in the galaxy? Well, this actually is the first time they showed it. And it looks like, and it's called the great attractor, the galaxy seems to be flowing towards a point. So it's called a vortex force. It's actually quite old in its naming. And the best way to visualize it, if you want to picture how the cosmos works, what's the major force in the cosmos? It's the vortex force. So if you take a bathtub and you fill it full of galaxies, we're in the Milky Way, well, the whole cosmos is just a bunch of galaxies, and you just throw them in a bathtub, and are they all just floating around randomly? No, there's actually a force flow. And the best way to visualize the vortex flow is they're in a bathtub, pull the plug. What happens? There's a vortex flow of the bathwater going out. Well, it's called the great attractor. The whole cosmos appears to be pulled in a certain direction, and that's the vortex flow. And the first science theory, the duty of science is to explain how reality works. What's our next slide? This is all going to be a surprise to me. Okay, so once again, that's our Milky Way galaxy. And that's where we are in the galaxy. We exist on an outer ring, which is actually fortunate because we've got a better view. And I don't know if you've noticed, because the stars are pretty well gone now. I've almost given up on looking at the stars at night here in Dunedin now. But if I get up to Valencia, you get to really see. And when you look at the stars next time, I want you to notice something. That the stars are all in 2/3 of the sky. It's almost like you can draw a line, and all the stars are in this 2/3. And the edges, there's nothing. And the reason for that is you're actually looking at the arm of the galaxy. And that's why there's only a certain, the stars just don't fill the skies. They fill a 2/3 band because that's the arm of the Milky Way that you're actually looking at. And every once in a while, if you're lucky from here, you'll I've only ever seen it once, but there's a period called the hub of the galaxy. You can actually see the hub of the galaxy. I saw it in Key West, right in the western horizon. I could see the beginning of the galaxy coming up, and it's just a dome of bright white lights that's quite fascinating. This picture is the most important one. I call this picture one. This is the picture of how well, it's actually a picture of the vortex flow. It's the first time we've documented vortex flow in the cosmos. And I want you to remember this. And what's the next slide now? Okay, anyway, the book is about the atomic theory. And basically, the atomic theory I learned about from the historian Plutarch. And he said that the old Heraclitus, and Heraclitus in my book, I put H and 1. That means Heraclitus is probably one of the top 10 geniuses ever to live. And he passes a theory on, called the atomic theory at the time, to Socrates. And he says to Socrates, this is the job of science. It just explains how it all works. And if you understand this one theory, then you actually don't need to know anything else, because there is nothing left to know. So anyway, just curious, anybody have any objections to that concept? That if you understand that how it all works, there is nothing else to know. Anyway, it's a very important part of the thing. Now, the interesting part is they killed Socrates, and the theory got lost. So I knew the theory existed, and I didn't know what it was. And so it was a long time I was searching, and finally I put it together partly by logic. The theory basically says, before the cosmos, there was either nothing or something. Those are the two options, right? Basically, before the cosmos, nothing is actually the predominant voice in modern science today. There was nothing before the cosmos. It's all pointless. That's the modern scientist's view. The older view is actually the original atomic theory, which was before the cosmos, there was probably something. And the only reason they said that is because it's obvious there's a lot of energy we can't explain, like the vortex flow. Democritus was the first to say it appears that the cosmos we live on is in a vortex flow going somewhere. So it looks like there's something pulling our whole cosmos in a certain direction. So in science, we give things names. So if there's something, let's call it a universe, which just means a prior energy form. Now, the problem nowadays, if you're reading modern science, and around the year 2000, science equated the words universe and cosmos. They were interchangeable words. So they've actually negated the original science theory. Which actually was their intention, because in their opinion, there was nothing before, and there's no point in talking about it. So anyway, that's the original science theory. Now, here's where it got interesting. So I'm really puzzled. I still haven't put the whole thing together. And then it was about 10 years ago, I read a Khalil Gibran quote that says, "We do not understand until we reduce to 8 concepts." And right away I realized I was given all these concepts by Socrates, Heraclitus, and that all they had to do is put them together into a story. And that's where the word intelligent comes from. It's intel, in the story, to know. So I put them together. What did I get? We can go to the next one. Okay, now, the book, I'm going to go through the 8 concepts, and then you just put them together. One of the most important concepts, I think the most fun one, is the mystery of conscien, consciousness. That's a hyphenated word, actually, conscien, with to know. So consciousness is knowing with. You could consider it knowing with your brain. But this is where the theory gets interesting. Most of you are raised, and most people I know, see consciousness as individual. In other words, we all have our individual consciousness. Originally, and just about everybody, Schrodinger was the first one to modernize the ancient theory, and he was 100 years ago. He said consciousness is a singular thing, that the cosmos is a force field of consciousness, and that your consciousness is a part of that force field. So I don't have the picture, but so to visualize it, if you remember picture one is what the whole cosmos looks like. But if you actually, and we've done brain scans, we do brain scans of people, and if you look at a brain scan, it looks exactly like picture one. So our brain has the exact same pattern as the whole cosmos because we are part of the cosmos. And that pattern keeps repeating at all levels. So Schrodinger, and Schrodinger is just repeating old theory. What's the next one? Just curious. All right, now, what approaches as a scientist as you should do? There's two theories. Which one should you believe? Well, if you actually don't know in science what is true, leave your mind open. Well, it's either working this way or that way. Now you want to look for proof. The interesting thing about the universe is it actually proves itself. And this is one of my favorite slides. Now, this is by a photojournalist, Crombie. And he's picturing these starlings, and they fly in those patterns, right? They have really intricate patterns. And he spent 52 days there picturing the starling patterns. But the next picture I call the 53rd day. He knew that they could form a pattern where they form a giant bird and fly. And that's what he wanted to see. And on the 53rd day, he got it. Now, if you see consciousness as individual, that can't happen. Even modern scientists are pushed to say, well, that's all just random pattern. Just happened to look that way. Even modern scientists don't believe that. The best way to explain what you're seeing here is think drones. They've all become drones, and there's a drone operator, which is the universe. And that's what the universe is showing you. It's showing you how it operates. And there, all those bird minds became one bird mind and follow one pattern. It's just a proof that the original science theory is the correct one and not the one that we're all an individual consciousness. Now, the problem with this picture is that it was proof to him. He wanted to see it, he saw it. But you're only seeing somebody else's proof. If you want that as an actual proof, you need to go, I've done it a few times, and said, okay, I want to see that. And of course, it doesn't happen. But for a proof to exist for yourself, you have to see it for yourself. But you can't accept secondary proofs. It's not a bad idea in life. I don't know, do I have another slide? Oh, okay, this is just a little bit of how my book works. I'll do that later. So in my book, it's a big computer book. So like I put AT1 in brackets. So if you're reading my book, you put in search AT1, and it will give you about 100 references on the AT1 theory. The old way with a book, you look in an index, but when you have a computer book, you don't want an index. You just want to find the references. So that's how you get around. I've got a couple quotes here. There's only the mind, the universal mind. That's Krishnamurti. He was one of my earliest gurus. All great minds are identical. That's actually Emerson and Einstein said that. All minds are identical. Well, if we're all connected to this one source, and you follow that one source, you will have an identical mind. So that's why I love this quote from the Bhagavad Gita. I speak the highest wisdom, transcend all knowledge. With wisdom, the sage attains perfection. The sage and I become oneself. So the Bhagavad Gita is interesting because it gives direct quotes from the universe. In a way, Thales is one of the greatest scientists ever, and he said the mind of the universe is logos, and logos is intermingled in all things. So basically, this has logos. It's the modern scientists call it the Boltzmann brain. All the information in the universe, in the cosmos, is in here. That's the Boltzmann brain concept. Bertrand Russell, mind is great in universe with the universe, the highest good. So the idea that we have one mind with the universe is the most predominant part of our history. It's just that the modern scientists have pushed all this aside because they only have one view. They're kind of fundamentalists. And their AT2 theory that there was nothing before and there's nothing after, and the whole life is pointless and purposeless. AT1 states that we actually live in a universe that actually has a point. It actually has a purpose. There is actually a reason. And that there is a possibility of consciousness extending after your death. There's no reason that can't happen. So that's the big difference between AT1 and AT2. Is there another? No, I think that was the last slide. Oh, you know what the next slide is? Next time I'm going to cover vortex, which is the biggest force in your life. You are being sucked toward the universe. This planet is in this vortex flow, and it's good to understand what's happening to you. So anyway, and that's Descartes talking on vortexes. That's that one's the painting by everybody remember who did that? Van Gogh. He could see vortexes in the sky. Some people, Democritus, they looked up and they could actually see. They have a type of mind that they can see that there's this flow pattern in the cosmos. I think that pretty well covers it. Thank you for attending my... I should cover, this is actually a scholarship book. So when I go back to the States, I'm probably going to put some kids' pictures in it and say, sponsor a kid in the Philippines. And by that I mean is they want to take the course, pass grade 0, grade 6, and grade 9, and they get a scholarship of maybe $150. So the book is a scholarship for kids in the Philippines. And I'm hoping to sell it to a few people in America when I get traveling. Now now we get on to the regular part of the service. Now we have to go to religion. Who wants to run that? Aren't we going to do? Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Ray.
Maybe before we start, did you see the video that
No, not yet.
Calvin, what do you think? It's okay.
Well, she can introduce it. Yeah. Yeah, we need to introduce it.
We play. I'll tell you when to play. Okay, so Nato, thank you so much, Dr. Ray, for your wonderful presentation about your introduction of the book, the science book. So yeah, we hope to get the chance to